Welcome back to the AI Brief, the deep dive, giving you that competitive edge in understanding today's tech shifts. This is episode 286.
And we're definitely seeing a major transition this week.
Feels like it, like the sort of Wild West launch phase is, well, it's hitting reality hard now.
Exactly. AI platforms are growing up fast. That means, facing regulation, bumping into hardware limits, and really drilling down on the individual user experience.
Right. So we're basically looking at the three big walls of the new AI landscape today: regulation, hardware, and personalization.
That's the plan.
Our mission is to unpack what these shifts mean right now. Specifically, we're diving into Sora's new opt-in controls after that huge launch.
And the reported problems, the snags, affecting that OpenAI and Jony AI device collaboration.
Plus why Google's pasta system might be the next step in, like actually useful creative AI.
And we'll wrap up with a quick look at the other big moves: funding, people changing jobs, new agent rumors, all that. Let's get into it.
Okay, regulation first. Sora. I mean, that launch was probably the biggest viral tech thing in maybe the last couple of years.
Oh, easily. It beat Gemini and ChatGPT to #1 on the App Store in 24 hours.
While it was still invite-only, that's incredible demand shaping right there.
But that demand immediately created, well, chaos. You saw it. The platform just got swamped.
Yeah, deepfakes, copyrighted characters everywhere, Pikachu, Michael Jackson, Bob Ross, I mean, everything.
The legal red flags must have gone up instantly. It was just so visible.
Which seems to have forced Sam Altman's hand, right? The original plan, or what seemed like the plan, was this sort of opt-out approach for rights holders.
Yeah, kind of figured out later, but now they're pivoting hard to granular opt-in controls.
And that's a massive strategic shift. Explain that a bit more.
Well, it's the crucial difference. It tackles the IP problem directly. Rights holders can now say exactly how their stuff, their characters, their likenesses can be used, if at all.
So OpenAI is basically saying, look, we can't carry the legal risk for, millions of Mickey Mouse videos. Pretty much. It shows they recognize the liability. They can't just enable unlimited derivative works using famous IP without some structure.
And this ties straight into money, doesn't it? They mention revenue sharing.
Yes, which is complicated. How do you even calculate value share on something like that?
Right.
But the idea is, if user content makes money for the platform using someone else's IP, some of that value has to flow back to the original creator.
That's huge for rights holders, though. It gives them a model besides just suing everyone.
Exactly. It sets up a compensation structure tied to the platform making money,
right.
But it also makes it way harder for smaller players, right?
Yeah.
Who can afford to build and manage that complex legal and payment system.
Good point. Okay, so from regulation, let's pivot to hardware, the physical stuff. OpenAI teaming up with Jony Ive's studio. That felt like the inevitable next step.
It did. They bought the studio, brought in, 20-plus ex-Apple hardware people, all for this screen-free AI device.
But even with all that cash and design talent, they're apparently hitting some real-world bumps.
Yeah, reports point to a couple of big issues, big enough to potentially push the launch past 2026, which is quite a delay.
Okay, what are the snags?
First one is just user experience. They're trying to get the AI's chat style right, helpful but not, constantly talking your ear off. Finding that balance is tricky.
Interesting. And the second?
Infrastructure. Basically, compute power. OpenAI doesn't have that massive, super reliable cloud network that, say, Amazon has for Alexa or Google has for Home.
Ah, right. If you're building an always-on device, something sitting on your desk.
Exactly. It needs super fast, constant connection. And OpenAI kind of has to build that capability themselves or figure out how to manage it, which takes time and resources.
Okay, the infrastructure part makes total sense. But the UX thing, isn't the whole point of a dedicated AI device that it is super helpful, maybe even proactively chatty?
That's the tightrope they're walking.
If they dial it back too much to avoid being annoying, are they just making a fancy smart speaker?
That's the core design challenge, isn't it? It needs to feel essential, different. But the line between essential AI helper and invasive AI chatterbox is incredibly thin, especially with these powerful LLMs.
So it shows just how hard it is to define what a truly breakout AI hardware product even looks like, even for the A-team.
Absolutely. It's proving tougher than maybe anyone expected.
Okay, moving inside the house now to personalization. We're shifting away from that whole complex prompt engineering game.
Yeah, the prompt roulette problem, where you type a paragraph and still kind of cross your fingers hoping for the right image.
Exactly. So Google's got this new system, Pasta.
Right, Pasta. Stands for Personalized Adaptation of Semantic Text-to-Image Generation. Bit of a mouthful.
Huh, yeah. But the idea is simple. The AI learns your specific creative style over time.
Instead of you trying to guess the magic words the AI wants, the AI learns your taste.
How does it actually do that? How does it learn my vibe?
It's feedback, basically. Pasta shows you, say, 4 image options each time you give it a prompt.
Right.
It watches what you pick over several rounds and builds a model of your preferences. They trained it on thousands of human sessions plus simulated ones to get a handle on different styles.
And the results?
Pretty impressive, actually. Users preferred the pasta images something like 85% of the time compared to standard models.
Wow.
And apparently it did especially well with abstract prompts, the really subjective stuff, where getting the vibe right is everything.
That makes sense. Personalization is the key then. It stops being this random guessing game.
Exactly. It becomes an adaptive tool that learns your aesthetic language. That feels like a big step forward for creative AI tools.
All right, let's quickly cover some other key things moving the needle in AI right now.
Okay, rapid fire. Big rumor first. OpenAI potentially launching something called Agent Builder.
Agent Builder, what's that?
Supposedly a no-code platform for automating workflows. Think connecting apps, building little automations, embedding things, all inside OpenAI's world.
So kind of like Zapier or NAN, but native to OpenAI?
That seems to be the idea. If true, that's a huge play for creating their own ecosystem, pulling in business users.
Interesting. Okay, what about money? Still pouring in?
Oh, yeah. PitchBook reported, $192.7 billion into AI startups this year alone? That's over half of all global VC funding.
Wow. But where's it going?
Mostly to the big guys, Anthropic, xAI, the established leaders, which means
Less for the smaller startups.
exactly,
Yeah.
capital's concentrated. So smaller players, or maybe AI for things like healthcare or climate, they're finding it tougher to get that big funding. The pipeline is getting thinner further down.
Got it. Any big people moves?
Yeah, a couple notable ones. Anthropic hired Rahul Patil, former CTO at Stripe, to run infrastructure. That signals serious scaling plans.
Makes sense.
And Microsoft promoted Judson Eltoff to commercial CEO. The thinking is that lets Satya Nadella focus even more on the core tech side.
Acquisitions. See any interesting pickups?
Perplexity bought a small AI startup called Visual Electric for, quote, new consumer product experiences.
And OpenAI.
They acquired a personal finance startup called Roy. Their CEO is joining OpenAI.
Interesting. Okay, last bit on this section. Research and benchmarks. Anything stand out?
Well, Tencent's open source image model, Hunyuan Image 3.0, actually hit the top spot on the LM Arena leaderboard for text-to-image.
Wait, an open source model beat the closed ones?
According to that benchmark, yeah, LM Arena is pretty respected, neutral ground. So that's a big deal for open source quality catching up.
Definitely. Anything else?
Just that Anthropic put out research showing Claude 4.5 Sonnet scoring really well on cybersecurity tests,
Right.
pushing that enterprise-ready angle.
Okay, good roundup. Now let's quickly mention a few trending tools people might find useful right now.
Yeah, a few interesting ones. Dreamlet is getting attention. It lets you sort of vibe code automated emails using plain English. Makes complex stuff more accessible.
Nice. What else?
Bizarre. It takes screenshots and turns them into demo videos really fast. Super useful if you need to quickly show how something works.
Oh, I can see the use case for that immediately.
And maybe one more, Instruct. It aims to automate basically anything from just a single prompt, tapping into that desire for zero-effort automation.
Lots happening. Okay, let's try and wrap this up.
Right.
To summing up today's deep dive, we saw AI platforms like Sora having to quickly move from that initial chaotic launch to, well, necessary regulation with things like opt-in controls.
Then we talked about hardware, how even top teams like OpenAI and Jony Ive are finding it really difficult to actually build and define these next-gen AI devices. It's not straightforward.
And finally, personalization. Systems like Google's Pasta showing that making AI truly adapt to individual users is probably the next big frontier, especially for creative tools.
Which brings up, I think, a really interesting question for you to think about. If a viral launch like Sora immediately needs these complex legal and money structures opt-ins, revenue sharing right out of the gate, does that mean the legal and business complexity is now actually starting to move faster, or at least create bigger hurdles than the tech development itself?
Yeah.
And what does that imply for how the next wave of AI tools will even be able to launch?
That's a heavy thought. The friction might be shifting from pure tech hurdles to these structural ones.
Yeah.
Fascinating point.
Yeah, something to chew on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. If you found this valuable, please do hit follow on the AI Brief and maybe share it with someone else who wants to get up to speed quickly.
We appreciate you tuning in.